Let me take you to a country full of promise, a land known for its vibrant culture, lush rainforests, and a history of economic resilience. Brazil. For years, the country stood as a beacon of potential in the global market. Yet today, Brazil faces a challenge that threatens its economic stability, a crisis centered around its currency, the real, now in freefall. The story begins with a sense of unease that gradually transformed into panic. It's December 2024, and the Brazilian real has plummeted, losing over 20% of its value this year alone. Imagine this, a record low of nearly 6.3 reais to the dollar. People on the streets of Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro feel the pinch in their daily lives as imported goods become more expensive and inflation looms large. The central bank, once the guardian of monetary stability, has been fighting a losing battle. In November, the government of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva announced a plan, a strategy it hoped would calm the storm. The long awaited program included spending cuts and earning caps for public sector workers, a bold move to signal fiscal discipline. But then came the twist. Finance Minister Fernando Haddad, standing in front of a podium, declared sweeping tax cuts for low and middle income earners. What was meant to be a balancing act tipped the scales. Investors saw contradiction, not clarity. Confidence in the government's ability to manage its budget evaporated. And why wouldn't it? Brazil's fiscal health was already fragile. A budget deficit nearing 10% of GDP and debt at 90% of GDP left no room for missteps. For global markets, it was a signal to retreat. The sell off of the real accelerated like a wave that grows stronger with every passing day. At the heart of the turmoil is a conflict, a tug of war between fiscal and monetary policy. On one side, the government, reluctant to make unpopular cuts or tighten spending further, clings to its dual promises of reform and relief. On the other side, the central bank, tasked with stabilizing the currency, tries everything in its arsenal. It sold over $3 billion in reserves in one day, a dramatic move to prop up the real. Yet, the market barely flinched. Interest rates were the next tool in the bank's kit. Imagine the pressure, 3 rate hikes since September, each including a shocking full percentage point increase on December 11th. 2-year government bonds now yield over 15%, compared to under 10% a year ago. But even with these aggressive moves, the real continued its slide. Investors remained unconvinced, their confidence shaken by the lack of cohesive leadership and a clear plan. Economic observers likened the situation to a sinking ship, with water rushing in faster than the crew could bail it out. Alberto Ramos, a seasoned economist at Goldman Sachs, described it best. We know exactly how we got here, so we know how to get out. We need to walk backwards. His words carried weight, a warning that the longer the government delays decisive action, the harsher the correction will be. The market, as he put it, would eventually force its own resolution. But what does that mean for the people of Brazil? Imagine a middle-class family in Rio. Their savings lose value each day as inflation eats away at their purchasing power. The father worries about his job security, the mother watches food prices climb, and the children, once hopeful for their future, sense the anxiety around them. These are not just numbers on a spreadsheet, they're the stories of millions of Brazilians whose lives are shaped by these economic tremors. As the year closes, the nation stands at a crossroads. The choices ahead are not easy. Will the government make the tough decisions to regain the trust of markets, or will it allow the symptoms of this crisis to deepen? The clock is ticking, and every day of inaction pushes the country closer to the brink. This isn't just a story about currency or economics, it's a tale of confidence lost and the arduous journey to regain it. Brazil's future hangs in the balance, and the world watches, wondering whether the country's leadership can chart a course back to stability before the market forces its hand. And so the story continues. As we turn the page to 2025, Brazil must decide whether to act boldly or let the tide of uncertainty pull it further out to sea. Only time will tell if the nation can reclaim its potential and rise above this crisis.